City Council meeting of March.
I can't hear you.
I'd like to call the City Council meeting of March 18th, 2021 to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Sorrentino. Alderman Jacob.
Here.
Alderman Woods.
Here.
Alderman Sosnarski.
Here.
Alderman E. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman Catalano.
Here.
Alderman Messina.
Here.
Alderman R. Wesley. And Mayor, please.
Here, I declare a quorum present. Please stand, join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion to approve the March 4th, 2021 regular City Council meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Do any citizens wish to be heard on matters not listed on the agenda? Okay. I have no written communique this evening. Under Mayor's report, I'd like to ask Deputy Chief O'Neill to the podium and also ask from County Board Commissioner Sheila Rutledge and Kay McKean from Scarce, if you'd like to step up to the podium. You could wait? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Just honored to be here tonight to represent the Wooddale for a Green Tomorrow Committee. We have accomplished something that a lot of cities and villages do not do, and that's the earth flag. Just want to go through a quick PowerPoint and some of the initiatives that we do around the city here. We have the water bottle filling stations. Can't tell you how many water bottles we've saved over the years. A lot of people bring their water bottles back in and refill those. We also have the holiday light recycling that we started last year, and we did it this year. Large quantities of the holiday lights were taken in, saving those from going into the landfill. So that was a nice new initiative that we're doing. One of the first to have the pharmaceutical waste drop box. A lot of people used to sit there and take their pharmaceuticals and put them into the wastewater, which is a big environmental hazard. So we deal with hundreds and thousands of pounds over the past years with that. We also have the clock tower with the native plantings. Fantastic project that was completed by the city. We also have the U.S. flag retirement collection box, which the U.S. flags are properly disposed of. We also have the tree planting initiative, planting trees around the city. We also have hybrid vehicles here with the city, the Ford Fusion. We also have the new street lights with LED. We also do the Green Fair each and every year. We had it this last year in September. Did a fantastic job. We filled over two 31-foot box trucks of electronics itself. So it was an unbelievable turnout. And again, thank you from the Wooddale for a Greener Tomorrow Committee. I'd like to introduce Kay McKean from Scarce.
Hi, everybody. I am so glad to be back here. I was telling Sheila as we were driving here today, talking on the phone while we were driving, but we weren't holding our phones. Hands-free. That your town has just been, your Greener for Tomorrow Committee and your town has just been so welcoming and so sincere in the efforts they have made to make the planet cleaner and healthier for the citizens here, and really a role model for a lot of other cities. That's quite a list, isn't it? That is an amazing list of accomplishments, and I know you still have momentum and all kinds of ideas. We're probably never done trying to make the planet better, but you guys really could be a role model for a lot of cities, and I'm so happy to work with you. And I know your mayor, he works on the Stormwater Committee, and there's just such good vibes here in your town. You should all be really proud. So I am of all your work, and thank you. And your medicine collection, you guys, I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds collected in 12 years. You're one of the first towns to join me in this effort, so thank you for that. And it does two things, really, if you think about it. It keeps the medicine out of the water, which is really, really important. But it also gets it out of homes so people don't accidentally take the wrong medicine or on purpose take the wrong medicine. So it's kind of a double win just with that. So I hope you guys know that this is a great accomplishment and really something to be really proud of. So you guys, I want to introduce Sheila Rutledge. If she can come up, she is the county board member. She's District 6 in our county, but she's chairman of the environmental committee for the county. She's a very active member of the environmental committee. And then can the green team come up? Mayor and the green team members come up here. Lynn, aren't you on the green team? Come on.
She's like, no, I'm taking notes.
Come on, this is important here.
Well, thank you for having us here tonight. It's so great to actually be in a room with people and things are loosening up. I just was installed as head of the environmental committee in January, so I'm very pleased to be here tonight with Kay. She taught my children how to recycle years ago. And so I've known her a long time, and I'm thrilled to work with her. I have a lot of things that I want to do with that committee, and Kay is a valuable resource for us for that purpose. So a little note from Chairman Cronin tonight. Whereas DuPage County adopted the DuPage County Solid Waste Management Plan, which includes environmental education activities and leadership in recycling, and whereas the City of Wooddale staff received environmental training focused on sustainable choices, litter prevention, recycling contamination, proper disposal of recycling practices, composting, water quality, and energy conservation. This is my first proclamation, so give me a little. And whereas the city has an environmental advisory board, Greener Tomorrow, to help protect, sustain, and improve the environment, which benefits present and future generations. And whereas the city has committed to collecting unused and expired medicines, has annually hosted recycling events, and has committed to more sustainable products. And whereas the city has installed multiple energy efficient features in buildings and street lighting and provides residents with energy efficiency resources which benefit the county's Cool DuPage effort. And whereas the city hosts an annual open house for residents to learn about proper recycling practices, composting, water conservation, and stormwater best practices. And whereas the DuPage County Board recognizes the City of Wooddale for its leadership in reducing their impact on the environment and has thereby earned their earth flag as a symbol of their accomplishments. And whereas the DuPage County Board finds the City of Wooddale is a valuable member of the County of DuPage, and their efforts have significantly improved the quality of life for the DuPage County community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Daniel J. Cronin, Chairman of the DuPage County Board, and members of the County Board do hereby commend the City of Wooddale on their exemplary efforts and outstanding sustainability accomplishments. Passed this 18th day of March, 2021. Smile with your eyes, everybody.
1968, the crew of Apollo 8 took this photo. It was the
Awesome.
first photo taken by humans, not by a satellite, of this planet that we share, with all the other people on the planet, and all the whales in the water, and all the worms in the soil, and all the birds in the air. Thank you guys very, very much.
Very nice. Good job. Excellent job. Yeah.
Can I be recognized? Question? Do you guys do any work with the Morton Arboretum?
Yes,
The
a lot.
Chicago, okay, I know they have a Chicago Region trees initiative that a lot of cities,
Yep.
is that something that you guys facilitate, or?
We help them with that, yep, we help promote it, a whole bunch. They
Okay.
earned our Earth flag as well.
Okay, is that something we would facilitate through you guys or through our city?
And if you did, the city forestry, we can
Who's
work together
present-
on it.
yeah.
We can work
Okay.
together on that.
Jeff, is that something we could, hey Jeff, is that something we can work on?
Do we have one? Did your camera person? Okay, good.
Yes, we
We'll get the proclamation picture. so- Yep,
you got it.
Well done. Here you go. I'm a photographer for a living, so it's gonna be on my tombstone. Just one more. Thank you so much. And then my favorite smile word is money. Even makes children smile.
Smile, Pat. I stopped putting, after I saw you last time, I stopped putting my recycling in a plastic bag. I said, after you talked last, I was always putting my recycling in my plastic bag inside my recycling can. Now I know. Good to see ya. I just didn't know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. O'Neill.
Ready for the next step?
You have the location for the voting?
Yes, sir.
The address?
Oh, the flag goes to Ryan.
Okay. Oh, I was gonna ask you next week. Okay. We can do that.
Summer schedule.
All right, next, city manager's report, Mr. Murmas.
Two items tonight. First item, the Veterans Banner Program. The city is pleased to see the response from the community regarding the Veteran Banner Program that will launch to commemorate the Memorial Day season this year. There are still a few slots available to apply to honor your loved one with a banner. The deadline for this Memorial Day is April 11th. Second item, committee involvement. The city's always looking for residents to serve on committees, give input, and participate in discussions. The Wooddale for a Greener Tomorrow Committee and their hard work that you just heard about, perhaps you can be a part of that. So if you're interested, please go online, and there's also an email address if you're interested, committees@wooddale.com. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And next week, we'll have, as we mentioned a couple weeks ago, the library will not be hosting a polling place. We'll give you the new location next week. All right, Mr. Murmas? So we have that. Next, consent agenda. We have 3 items. I'll entertain a motion if no objections. Okay, to approve 3 items.
Second.
Alderman Wesley and Alderman Catalano. Roll call, please.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman Eugene Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
And that passes. Next, a motion to approve the items on the agenda. Item number 1, an ordinance amending, this mask is, Chapter 5, Section 5.304A.2 of the Municipal Code of the City of Wooddale of 1993 to provide for the creation of a Class COVID temporary liquor license. Item number 2, resolution authorizing temporary outdoor restaurant dining and service. Item number 3, a resolution authorizing an agreement between City of Wooddale and the State of Illinois Department of Natural Resources for the City of Wooddale Flood Hazard Mitigation Project, contract number OWR-402. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
Okay, Alderman Wesley, Alderman Sismarski. Roll call.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
And Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Okay, and that passes. Next, committee chairman reports, planning and zoning, Alderman Jacob.
I have an ordinance approving and causing publication of the City of Wooddale 2021 official zoning map. That will be my motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Alderman Sorrentino. Any questions on this? Roll call.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sosnowski?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
And Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Okay, and that passes.
Okay, next, I have a resolution authorizing the approval and execution of an agreement for purchase and sale of a portion of the real estate located at 755 to 777 North Edgewood Avenue, Wooddale, DuPage County, Illinois, and conveyance of a temporary construction easement for road improvement purposes. That would be my motion.
Second.
Okay, motion is second, and questions on this? Roll call, please.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sosnowski?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
And Alderman Messina?
Yes.
And that passes. That concludes your report.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Public Health and Safety, Alderman Sorrentino.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works, Alderman Catalano.
I have one, Mayor.
Go ahead.
An approval of a pay request number 2 final for Stroder Asphalt Services, Inc. for the fiscal year end in 2021, pavement patching and crack sealing program in the amount of $42,099.20. That is my motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any questions on this? Roll call.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sosnowski?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
And Alderman Messina?
Yes.
And that's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance and Administration, Alderman Woods.
Thank you. I have 2 reports, Mayor. One, a resolution to adopt early retirement incentive IMRF Form 6.77.
Second.
I didn't make a
Oh,
motion.
I thought you just read the motion.
Nope.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Questions? Alderman
I have
Woods.
some. Mr. Wilson, can you, I know when we talked about this before, we really didn't have the numbers put together, and now we kind of have the numbers together. Could you run us through those briefly?
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr.
Pleasure
Mayor.
as always.
Indeed. I'll do my best without trying to bore everybody with it. But, yeah, the number that's in the resolution is a little bit of a head turner, I guess, if you will.
It is.
And so what that is it takes into account the 13 eligible employees. It takes their projected earnings over what would be the next 5 years, as well as any payouts, vacation payouts, leave payouts, bonuses, things of that nature.
Mhm.
They then apply the city's current rate that we pay to IMRF, which this year is a little over 11%, and then calculate what that would be, like I said, over those 5 years. And then it assigns a number to each of those employees. So just, ease of math, say an employee is $100,000, which would be our cost. So if the employee were to take that, take the ERI and purchase all 5 years, the city would then have to, over the next 10 years for the amortization period, which is the next item on the agenda, pay that $100,000 off. So basically, IMRF is effectively, for lack of a better phrase, they're giving us a loan for those amounts that we didn't have to pay off over the next 10 years. So the amount that's in there is the total worst-case scenario. That assumes all 13 people take it, which we know they're not going to. It assumes that all of their wages go up at a certain percentage, which is all based on historical data, as well as taking the maximum vacation payout that's eligible, maximum leave payout that's eligible, and any bonuses that may come along. So that is the absolute worst-case scenario. We already know a few people have indicated they're not going to take it. People aren't going to reach the maximum vacation payout, things of that nature. So that's where that number comes from, which again is the worst-case scenario that we already
Hold
know
on,
isn't
Brad.
going to come in. Also,
Brad,
just
wait. When you're saying that number, so people at home know what that number is,
I was getting there.
you're talking about the 2 million, that number?
correct.
You want to read it off?
Oh, sure. $2,152,433.48.
Okay.
And just real quick, when we did the ERI back in 2005, and this is just pure coincidence, there were 13 eligible members then, and 8 took it then. So there were 5 back in 2005 that didn't take it. So we're already aware of the 13, we're already aware of 3 for sure that are not going to take it. There's a few that we haven't talked to at all, so we're not sure where the number's going to come in at. But we do know that number's not going to be what the number's going to be.
Right. So,
Go ahead, Alderman Woods.
yeah, I'm sorry, I thought I was in control, but, my question, it's my issue. So looking at this, right, so you got the 2.1 and 5 million, and then amortize that out, that's 3 million. So I'm looking at these numbers, but how does that relate to, because I'm always told that we're going to save money, so we're going to save money by spending 2.1 to $3 million. How does that happen?
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Sure. So the savings comes in, and there's 2 different ways that IMRF recommends you go about generating the savings to actually come out, ahead at the end of this. One of them is if you're going to rehire every.
Before you
Hold on.
continue, just so that
Alderman
we,
Woods, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, just so everybody following along at home understands, we spend this, there is an avenue to, hopefully we reap a savings benefit that outweighs this, right? That's the concept, at least. Am I correct?
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, thank you. You can.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so there's 2 different ways that IMRF recommends you do this. And one is if you're going to rehire everybody that takes it, you need to rehire them at no more than 80% of the salary that the person retiring was making. So if, for example, the person retiring is making $100,000, you would want to be sure for everything to flow through that you hire the new person at no more than $80,000. That's one way to do it. The other way is if you're going to replace everybody with the same salary, to hire only 80% of the people. So if 10 people take it, then you would only hire 8 people, if they're going to be dollar for the salary. And then obviously there's the different permutations. If you hire 9 people at 82% of the salary or whatever, you can then there's the jigsaw puzzle part of it.
Right.
So the people that are unionized, we have to follow the union contracts. So the spread between the top and the bottom of those ranges of the people that are leaving back down to the beginning, I don't have the exact figure, but I'll just say it's more than 20%. It's less than 80% of that. So that's where those savings are going to come in, is you're going to have the longer tenured employees at the top of the range retire, then you're going to backfill with people at the beginning of the range. There's also probably going to be some slack funding in there where they retire July 1st, the replacement doesn't start until August 1st, August 15th or whatever. So there's some incremental savings in there as well for the vacancies. And then on top of that, the salaries, then obviously there's the fringe benefits, so your FICA is less, your IMRF payments are less because it's based on a lower salary to begin with.
Question, follow-up. So I know it goes by the union salaries, and you said, and I would anticipate that somebody starting at the bottom is going to be more than 20% lower than top of the scale. That's what you said, right, Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Correct? And the FICA and all that stuff. But did we figure a number? Because I don't recall seeing what the savings would be if everybody took it. So we're going to spend $2.3 million or whatever the number was over 10 years. And what is the savings over that 10 years? If we replaced everybody at the under 80% that, like you're talking about, I'm sure we did those calculations, right? What would that, what that number is?
Yeah, so in the water fund, it was about $60,000. And in the general fund, it was right around $150,000. So all in was about $200,000, a little over $200,000 for the city. But there are, just like I said, employees in the water fund and then also out of the general fund.
So the bottom line is on $2.3 million over 10 years, we're gonna save about 200,000 if everybody takes it. That's,
Yeah, that's how the math was working out, correct?
because I think I was just getting on the council when this happened the last time. And I remember some kind of like $700,000, $800,000 number. So we're nowhere near that kind of number the last time. I'm just,
Yeah, so the savings number from last time, again, that was based on everybody taking it. And as I stated, there were 5 people that didn't take it. And the 5 people that didn't take it were actually the ones that were going to drive the greatest savings last time. So I pulled up the sheet from last time. And so that number, that would have been correct had everybody taken it. But like I said, the people that were going to drive the greatest savings did not take it, which actually drove that one down a little bit last time from the last ERI.
Mayor?
any other questions? Alderman Woods, go ahead.
So I'm looking at the 2.1 million, which amortized over the 10 years is 3,035,000, right? And you're telling me we're gonna save 200,000 a year for 10 years?
No. Per year or total?
Total.
Total.
Total, not per year. I didn't think so.
Yeah, not per year.
So
Go ahead.
we're gonna save 3,200,000 over 10 years? Somewhere this gets paid, right? And then you're gonna say that we're gonna, on top of paying that off, we're gonna make another 200, save another 200,000?
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, so what IMRF does is when when they take the ERI, they add that to our rate in future years, and that's how that gets paid off. So as people take it, theoretically either this year or next year, then it gets added to our rate, and then we pay that off over time. So, yeah, the concept is that, yes, over time, we're still going to be a couple $100,000 ahead of where we would have been had everybody still been employed and continued to earn at the rate that they were earning at.
Follow up?
Yeah, assuming all the pieces stay in the same place, all employees stay equal, you hire 20% and that doesn't change. My other question or concern is, so obviously the people who leave and have been here the longest, right? They have greater tenure, are at the top of the level of whatever group they're in, whether that's water department or coming out of the general fund, whatever group. And I guess we make the assumption that the next guy in line or girl in line is going to move up and take that, but don't they get a raise to that dollar amount? I just don't see how we're going to save the 20%.
It's not even 20%.
Especially in the market today, as we know, going back and forth. And maybe that's selfish that I want to keep my employees that we have that are here. That's just my own thing.
Well, the other difference is, so you hire new people, you're gonna have to train them where they're already experienced. I was anticipating different numbers for savings. Alderman Wesley?
Well, my question is, so will this number change if a group takes it now, and then a group takes it 2 years down the line? Or is this for the max? Because I know we talked about, I brought to our attention that we aren't going to I wouldn't want to see all 13 people or whatever come in and say, here, I'm retiring early, and then we catch 22.
The thing with this, if I recall, if we do it this time, you have to wait 10 years before you can do it again. Is that correct, Mr. Wilson?
So yeah, technically you just have to have the one that you do paid off. So theoretically you could, have everybody retire, write a check, pay it off, and then do another one the next day if you wanted to. But since the subsequent resolution is a 10-year amortization period, then yes, we would have to wait the 10 years. But technically, per the statute, it has to be paid off. So like I said, it could be 5 years, could be 7 years, it just has to be paid off. And just one other point, just if I could go back a second, Alderman Wesley, or
Go ahead.
Alderman Wood's point about the raises and whatnot. Yeah, there is going to be a little bit of realignment in there. But again, per the union contracts, there's rules about how much those can be and where they have to go. And then, you're taking the crew leader that's been here for 25 years and resetting 5 levels down with a maintenance worker 1. So, that spread is pretty significant, even accounting for some of the
But don't we
realignment.
replace
Go ahead,
that-
Alderman Woods.
Oh, sorry. Don't we replace that, don't we need that talent, right? I mean, that guy that's been here for 25 years, that's level 5 and beyond, right? And we're replacing it, I mean, we need that institutional knowledge. If like 7 of those guys left, then I could see you hire 3 at the lower level and you're gonna hire 2 at a higher level. That makes a little more sense. But if you're just bleeding off the top of each department, that triangle doesn't make sense to me, economically. So,
Mayor,
that's an opinion.
Alderman Sismarski?
how many of those 13 are at the top of the pay rate? Now, there's got to be somebody under that 13 that's already at the top pay rate but doesn't have that job that Mr. Woods is talking about. They don't have a title as crew chief or team leader or whatever, however it works in the city, I don't know.
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
I would say that there's, so there's one that I'm going to take off the list that, well, there's one elected official on here, so your rates aren't going up, so we'll take that one off. So of the 12 employees, there's one that's not at the top of their range right now. So the other 11 are all at the top of their respective ranges.
There's no change.
Follow-up? Alderman Sismarski?
No, I just wanted to know if that answered Alderman Wood's question on that. I had the same query on, because I was in the unions, I wondered, I was at the top of the range, and one time, you don't go anymore. You're done, that's the end of the spectrum for you. But there's a word title that comes with the job too, it doesn't give you any more money, but gives you the top billing, I guess, top ranking. And seniority-wise, it goes by years, so.
Alderman Messina, you were next.
Yeah, I know I've had this conversation with Jeff before. You guys don't do succession planning here, right? 'Cause it's more union-based, like we do in the corporate world.
As far as the.
Meaning
union
like,
goes.
who is, are there succession plans for the next Jeff, for the next Brad, for the next chief? When I look at it, I'm trying to figure out in my head, like Alderman Woods, where do we see the cost savings? Because in the corporate world, when I move somebody in, it's gonna be a cost savings, moving somebody up if I have a succession plan. The next Randy is gonna hopefully make a lot less than I do when I'm gone. So then I can justify in my head. But if not, and I know you guys talk about the unions and that's really structured, I just don't see where that cost savings is if they all have to eat and make a certain scale, I guess, within a certain scale.
Mr. Murmas?
Well, typically, we do have succession planning, like you had mentioned. We have employees, both in the union and non-union, that we prefer to promote from within.
Right.
It's not always feasible, depending on the position and the talents involved for each position, but we certainly make an effort to do so. A majority of the time, we are successful in promoting from within and have succession planning, but it's not a certainty. But we do strive to do that, but it's not always possible.
Follow-up?
Do we have that detail on these 13, 12 individuals?
Mr. Murmas?
Is there,
For a majority of them, I would say yes. But again, I'll let Brad comment further. If he wants to comment further, I try to stay out of some of this to a certain extent, and we're not going to name employee names tonight, but a majority of the time, we usually do have good succession planning.
Any other questions? Alderman Wesley?
Go ahead.
So what you said earlier, so say 5 wants to turn in their paperwork tomorrow. But we're saying that there could be 13. So next year, those people can't take the retirement? They can't take this? So the other 5 comes in the following year. Are they allowed to get it or not?
Mr. Wilson, I
You
believe
understand?
the answer is going to be no.
That's-
Whoever takes it this year, if only five take it this year, the other 8 will not be eligible next year.
For 10 years, right?
for
Right,
10
yeah.
years.
So my
ahead.
question raised, I'm sorry, Mayor. So my question raised at the beginning of this whole thing is, we thought about not having 13 people just come in and say, I'm all leaving. Then, where do we go? There's no way in this economy that there's 13 people knocking at the door to come into the city right off the bat. I mean, got the training and all the background checking and all that. There's no way. So that will downfall our production of keeping the city afloat, to the standard that we have addressed at the city council level.
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so one of the benefits on the employer side is that we have the ability to dictate to a large extent when the employees can take it. So if we have, for example, 3 employees from one department or one division that want to take it, and, you know, we can say, well, that's great, but one of you is going to go in May, one's going to go in October, and somebody's going to go next March. So we have the ability to stagger those out, to avoid, like what you were saying, to avoid that vacuum where just all of a sudden, 5% or 10% of the workforce is just, gone. So we do have the ability to structure that to prevent that vacuum from happening.
Alderman Woods, follow up?
Yeah, yes, I do. You made a statement at the end of the list, and I don't want to name, but I think you made mention that one elected official would be? Okay.
No.
No, we're not eligible.
Okay, thank you.
We tried.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back and to Alderman Wesley's, you could explain to him about next year it wouldn't be that early buyout is up to what, 5 years? They can buy up to 5 years of their time? Correct? So like what he said, what if somebody comes next year, it's like, well, that person would be here today asking to buy out their time. So you wouldn't have another person coming next year if these 13 are eligible, right?
Mr.
Because these
Wilson?
people are all eligible within 5 years of the retirement, 2 years of retirement. What's the?
So,
Right, but wait, just to clear things up. So if we offered it now, whoever was on the list,
That's,
the city could stagger the retirements if, let's say, you get 4 or 3 in one department. But let's say somebody doesn't take it now, isn't one of those people that steps up, they can't come next year and say, well, you know what, I changed my mind. That'll be too late. Is that correct, Mr. Wilson?
yeah, that is correct.
because like,
And-
open enrollment, like insurance.
Yeah, it's not.
Correct, right, yeah, and they had to meet the criteria within this window, which there's an age requirement and a years of service in IMRF. So there could be years of service from another municipality counting towards this, but so there's an age and a years of service requirement even beyond the list to begin with. And so anybody that's on this list would qualify during the 1-year window. So say your birthday's the day after the window closes, that would qualify you? Sorry.
Right, so the estimated savings to be 2.1 million, 10-year amortized, 3 million savings, 6 to 7% maybe.
Excuse me, where did you read savings at 2 point?
No, I'm looking, estimated our payout, right,
Right.
top line, 2.152, and the 10-year amortization cost to be estimated at $3,035,000, and Mr. Wilson said 210, so we're spending $3 million over 10 years and potentially gonna save,
3,200,000 based on the numbers. Right?
No,
3
no,
million
no,
to
no,
pay
no,
off
no.
the 3,200,000.
Sounds about right.
no, that's what we have to pay.
Right,
He said we're only saving 200,000.
right, but in order to save 200,000, you'd have to bring in 3,200,000, correct?
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Am I confused here? We're gonna spend $3 million over 10 years.
Right, so again, the concept, the way the math is working out is that all things being equal with these 11 people on, or sorry, 13 people on the list, just extrapolating all of that forward versus what it would look like having them all take it and resetting everything would be that slight savings of what the $200,000 or whatever. So what Alderman Woods is saying is that the savings is really, well, what, like 3.3 million?
Right.
Because you're having to pay the 3.1 anyways that you would have already paid. And then the extra 200,000.
If they were.
Right, somewhere I
If they
gotta
were-
recoup the money I'm spending.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
And then beyond that, I'm saving 200,000. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, so the spend of, so all things being equal, would have spent $3.3 million over that same 10-year time period. But now we're spending 3.1 million.
And so.
Go ahead, Alderman Woods.
Yeah, so if I look at this, because now we're into the numbers, so the estimated cost is 2.15 million, right? So then my next question would be, if we wrote a check for 2.15, right, we saved the difference between 2.15 and 3 million, would then our savings, net savings be greater because we're reducing the overall cost?
Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, so IMRF has said that there's been a few towns that have actually either just paid it off or done like a bank loan for 10 years at, a lower interest rate than what IMRF would charge.
Right.
And then, so yeah, then you would save that incremental difference in the interest cost. Yes, that would be correct.
Follow-up?
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm seeing, so that's like $790,000 savings, obviously minus the interest cost on a 10-year note at a bank at probably 3%, let's say.
Sure.
2 3/4, 3%. So even if we added that in, there'd probably still be, I don't know, have to be 300,000, 400,000 in savings still again? No?
Mr. Wilson?
You're saying the differential in interest payment?
Right, so if we were to.
Go ahead, Alderman Woods.
Borrow the money at the bank at 3%, the 2.1 million versus amortizing it with IMRF and having it cost us 3 million at the end, right? We, round numbers, it's roughly 780, we'll call it $790,000 difference, right? Our cost, or burden on that loan. The cost of a loan at the local bank at 3% over the 10 years, that cost would be less than the 790,000.
Correct.
And I think it would be substantially less.
Probably, I mean, I'd have to go look at it, but probably at least half, maybe a little bit
Right, that's
more.
what I was saying. So we would
Yeah.
save, technically, we would save another 400,000, rough number.
Give or take,
For
but-
conversation's sake.
So,
So why would we not,
so that was my question earlier. What is our savings? How do we get to 700? I recall the number being like 700,000 or something savings way back, I was brand new, right? So was that the savings the last time? How did they do it the last time, Mr. Wilson? That the savings was, because you said only 8 people took it, I think?
Yeah, sure. So, again, like I said, last time, the math was based on some of the highest wage earners taking it, and then kind of doing that reset. So the highest wage earners in the last round, the one in '05, were non-union employees. So they were going to be able to kind of replace them with, again, the lower cost ones, and/or just restructure some things and not have to replace them per se. I know when you first came on, you were shocked at the hirings because you thought there wouldn't be rehirings or no new employees. I remember that story from the budget. But yeah, but the people that were going to drive the majority of those savings, like I said, in '05, didn't take it to allow for that restructuring or that reset. There was some supervisors in a couple of departments that didn't take it at that time. So, but, so that kind of squirreled the numbers a little bit from the '05 run.
Alderman Sorrentino, go ahead.
Now, I know I didn't like math. All these numbers that we're kicking around here, are all these contingent upon your first comment that any new hires will be capped at 80% of the guy leaving or the girl leaving? Does
Go
that
ahead,
figure
Mr.
into
Wilson.
this?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, being in the union positions, I mean, we can't dictate that. We have to hire them where they're at on the schedule. But seeing, that somebody's a crew leader, been here, that's at the top of the range, the bottom of that range is gonna be more than 20% of where they're at now.
But under 80?
Under, yeah,
Go ahead,
under 80,
Alderman
yeah.
Sorrentino.
That's what, yeah, yeah.
Follow up?
Like I said,
No, it's still, being at the lower end and going up 20, they're still under the 80. So that's gonna be pretty much the ceiling going forward with all these savings and dollars and all this good stuff we're talking about?
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Correct, yeah, that's what's gonna drive that.
I'm a happy guy.
Okay.
Alderman Jacob.
What kind of, what,
Sorrentino.
oh,
You can call me Alderman.
what Alderman Sorrentino is saying, so if it's somebody that's a supervisor or something, and the person below him is promoted, and technically he's been here a long time, couldn't he already be over that 80%?
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson. It's gonna be the rehire at the bottom is what,
Yeah, so,
Go ahead.
so you're kind of getting back to Alderman Woods' question from a little bit ago about the, kind of the realigning of things. So yeah, so if somebody's supervisor were to leave, if we promote from within, that person would get, I believe the contract says at least a 3% increase. And so you would be having that delta in there. But then again, from, just like the top crew leader position, and then after you kind of do some realignments all the way back down that maintenance worker 1 position, that's a significant jump all the way back down to that, even accounting for some of a couple of realignments within a couple of departments.
Thank you.
follow?
Mayor,
Alderman Sismarski.
since we're the only ones, we sit up here and we're the ones that are voting on this, I would actually like to hear from Director Lang to see what he thinks about all this, since he's the one that it affects the most.
Well,
They're
that's,
his personnel, so,
that's if they're all coming from his department. Could be coming from anybody's department.
well, he's got somebody to speak for. 9?
No.
Majority?
That-
Oh, I thought it was all 9 from,
That's probably
okay.
That's
an
personnel
unfair
stuff.
burden to put on
Well, I mean,
the Public Works Director.
So, Brad, honestly,
you're
the bottom
affecting
line
his-
is
his work.
200,000 if everybody takes it, but what is IMRF figuring in on this interest? If we can go to the bank and get 2.5%, what is IMRF at 7 or 8? What's the story here? Because I'm starting to hear 500, we could say 400,000 in interest. Now you're talking 600,000. That's a different number.
Yeah, the IMRF assumptive rate of return, I believe, is now down to 6.5 or 7. They're between, they're having to lower it down because their actuaries didn't like their number. So it was 7.5. So they're bringing it down now. So the interest rate that's being charged on this, is their rate of return, which is between 6.5 and 7%. Which, to Alderman Woods' point, if we could go to local bank X and get a note at 3%. Again, that's a whole another conversation, something we would have to do, but yeah, then that would certainly drive that.
I would suggest next time, let's start with that number, because the 200,000 was a little like, what? Okay, any other
And then-
questions?
And just,
Alderman Wesley.
So there's so many numbers being thrown out here. So I'd like to table this and go
Okay.
back and come back with the numbers. So the mayor just asked the interest money.
No, it's, so if we leave it through IMRF, if I understand correctly, and everybody takes it, it's about $210,000. Now, if we find an alternative loan at half the interest, we could save another almost 350 to 400,000, making the number 600,000 if everybody takes it. That's what you're saying, basically, right?
Correct.
Mr. Wilson? Okay.
Correct, and
Well,
just,
So that's the numbers.
That might be where your 700 came from last time, Mayor.
It's possible. Go ahead, Alderman
But
Wesley.
what I'm trying to say, tonight, we're voting on the plan with the MRF.
Yeah, Mayor-
Or are we going to give them directions to go back and look for the money? I
We
mean,
can-
I just don't.
Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
yeah, so, one point, and I don't want to belabor it, but, you know, all the numbers are assuming everybody's going to take it.
Correct.
We know that's not true, so this number's going to be lower
Low.
than that to begin with. I mean, we're already at 1.6, just based on quick conversations we've had. So we're already $5,600,000 to the good with people we know aren't going to take it. So let's start there. Secondarily, this isn't going to come on to our IMRF rate until 2023. So if we were to want to do, you know, investigations with the bank or whatever, we have
Okay.
20 months to figure that out.
Right, that was gonna be my
Before it's,
question.
All
yeah,
right,
before it's
so
going to be an
that's
issue.
fine. Okay.
So we can,
Go ahead, Alderman Woods.
we can change who finances this or how we pay this
Yes.
if we pass it this evening.
Is
Those
that
other
correct?
things we can talk about. Okay.
Mhm. That's correct.
Okay, that's correct. Okay. All right, so
All the questions.
we have a motion and a second.
Right.
I think we're good. All right, roll call.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Abstain.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next.
Oh, thank you. That was a long one. Next, a resolution to adopt amortization period for IMRF early retirement incentive, IMRF Form 6.78. So just to, Mayor, if I
Go ahead.
ask the first question.
What, is that a motion? First, let me get a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, okay,
we
go ahead,
have a
Alderman
motion
Woods.
and a second. You're pushing me now.
Excuse me,
Sorry.
who did the second?
That's all right,
Yes,
I'm used to it. So again, we're adopting the amortization schedule, but we can go back, go to the bank, void out the thing as if we didn't pass it, right, and enter, and put in a bank note or borrowed money or write a check or however, whatever method we deem necessary to save the maximum amount of money for the city.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, that is correct. And just an interesting point, that we actually, the last one, the 0506 one, after a few years, we actually found it beneficial to pay that one off early. So we did just do the write a check approach with that one.
Okay.
Because again, to your point, it was almost break even, but then once you add the interest in it, it didn't make any sense. So yeah, we can pay it off, you know, day one if you want to. We just
Okay.
have to make a declaration to get it going.
All right. Follow up or?
No, I'm
You good?
I'm
Any
good. I
other
just wanted to
questions?
make sure that we're clear.
Okay. Roll call.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Abstain.
And Alderman Messina?
Yes.
And that passes.
That's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Under other business, airport noise, Alderman Jacob.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Under Stormwater Commission, Alderman Wesley.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Approval list of bills, Alderman Woods.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion to approve the list of bills March 18th, 2021, and the amount of $870,839.39.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, any questions on the bills? Roll call.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
And Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Okay, and that passes. No items to be referred. We do need executive session to review the official minutes and the land acquisition. Do I have a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned into executive session. Just hang
Hallelujah.
tight while we clear the room.
All right.
Yeah.